Hello everyone, this is God and Center with Matthew. Today we are going into the book of Jonah. I had planned on another lesson, but God had something different planned for me today. Just at the last minute when I woke up this morning, this came to me. So we're going to be in the book of Jonah today, and we're going to go into first chapter. Chapter 1, or verse 1. It's probably going to be a two-part series. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has came up before me. But Jonah arose and fled to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. So Jonah's running. Jonah's decided he didn't want to go to Nineveh to cry out against them. They must be really wicked people, and he's maybe scared. Maybe God's got something on your heart today that you're scared of. Just don't be scared, because sometimes if God has something laid on your heart, things can, and it seems hard or seems insurmountable, and you decide to go against what God's told you in your heart to do, then there can be some great consequences, and we're fixing to get into some of that. We're going to go to verse 4. The Lord set out a great wind of the sea, and there was a mighty tempest of the sea, so that the ship was about to be broken up. Then the mariners were afraid, and every man cried out to his God, so that all of them didn't have the same God, and threw the cargo that was on the ship into the sea to lighten the load. But Jonah had gone down into the lowest part of the ship, had laid down, and was fast asleep. So the captain came down to him and said, What do you mean, sleeper? Arise and go to your God. Perhaps your God will consider us, so that we may not perish. And they said to one another, Come, let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this trouble has came upon us. So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. Then they said to him, Please tell us, for whose cause is this trouble upon us? What is your occupation? And where do you come from? What is your country? And of what people are you? So now they've figured out Jonah is causing trouble. Like his sometimes when we disobey God, we don't do what God wants us to do. It can cause the people around us to hurt and suffer because of what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you feel like that this thing is only hurting you. You know, maybe there's some maybe you're suffering from drug addiction or alcoholism and stuff, and you feel like you're the only one that's hurting, but it's not. It's hurting everybody around you. Now this ain't exactly what it's talking about, but that just came to me because it does. Jonah's done cause these people great trouble because he hasn't listened to the Lord and he's ran from God. So just keep that in mind. So they're asking him questions now. They're asking him who he is and where he came from, all that stuff. So we're going to go to verse 9. So he said to them, I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and dry land. Then the men were exceedingly afraid and said to him, Have you done, why have you done this? For the men knew that he fled from the presence of the Lord, because he had told them. Then they said to him, What shall we do to you that the sea may calm for us? For the sea was growing more Trempetus. And he said to them, pick me up and throw me in the sea. Then the sea will become calm for you. For I know that this great tempest is because of me. Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to return to the land, but they could not, for the sea continued to grow more tempestuous against them. Therefore they cried out to the Lord and said, we pray, O Lord, please do not let us perish for this man's life, and do not charge us with innocent blood, for you, O Lord, have done as it pleased you. So they picked Jonah up and threw him in the sea, and the sea ceased from raging. Then the men feared the Lord exceedingly, and offered a sacrifice to the Lord, and took vows. So, you know, if you are the one causing the problems, it can cause the whole family problems, or it can cause the whole crew at work problems, or it can cause the whole, you know, the whole family as a whole, or your whole friend circle. Just because you're doing something that you know God's not wanting you to do, you can hurt other people around you. That's what Jonah's done. Jonah has disobeyed God, and now he's hurting strangers even. So you could even hurt strangers by doing your dumb mess. You know, you get behind the wheel of a car drunk and end up killing somebody. You know, and then now you're in jail, and then you've affected the whole family that didn't. I mean, there's all kinds of things. You know, you could end up sleeping with a married woman, and you get her pregnant, and you've messed up the whole family dynamic because you decide to do something selfish. There's all kinds of little things, but I touched on this last week, so it's just it's a coincidence, or it's not a coincidence that it picked back up into this. It's what we do don't just affect us; it affects other people. So keep that in mind when you're doing something you ain't supposed to be doing. I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of it, doing things I'm not supposed to do, and it affects other people. So this lesson is not just for whoever's watching; it's for me as well. I'm still guilty of it. I'm not, still guilty of doing things that affect other people. Sometimes not even meaning to. Or this flesh is just it's evil. It desires what it wants, and like sometimes it don't matter who you hurt or what you do to get what you want, and that's where this whole being closer to God comes in. And it's like, but it's still hard. Even being close to God, it's hard to tame this flesh. The Bible talks about this all through here, but they've tossed him overboard now. Well, he told him to. This is some serious consequences. Now we're going back into consequences too, and I've been talking about that when I was the last one when I was in the King David, the consequences that for our actions. So now he's been thrown overboard. Let's see, I don't know if I read I'm going to finish reading chapter 1, it's verse 17. I think I did, but maybe I don't think I did. Now the Lord prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. So, I've did things knowing and been praying to God for to do the right things before, and I've been. It's been a long time since I've been in jail, but I have been thrown in jail several times over doing dumb stuff and running against God, not doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing. So I compare. That's how I compare it. Y'all can compare. There's several different ways of looking at this, but I've been thrown in jail for running from God and doing stupid stuff. So he was in the belly of a fish for 3 days and 3 nights. I couldn't imagine being stuck in the belly of the whale. People go crazy just being in jail a day or two or three, or there's people's in there for life. I just couldn't imagine being in the belly of a fish. It's probably got to be dark and scary, and I don't know. I couldn't imagine it. So we're going to go to chapter 2, verse 1 now. I cried out to the Lord because of my affliction, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. For you cast me into the deep, into the heart of the seas, and the floods surrounded me. All your billows and your waves passed over me. Then I said, I have been cast out of your sight. Yet I will look again towards your holy temple. The waters surround me, even to my soul. The deep closed around me. Weeds were wrapped around my head. So I guess the fish must have been eating some plant life. He's just really he's crying out God, and that's what people do when they're in trouble. A lot of people, that's the only time they do cry out to God when they're in trouble. It's best to keep in prayer with Him every day and thank Him. Wake up with thanksgiving. Wake up and pray and be thankful. I'm talking to myself because sometimes I just talk to Him about what I need or basically what I need. I don't really ask Him for wants. I just tell Him what I need. But He already knows. He wants us to be thankful for what we have, and for us to thank Him for what we do have. So I try to do that. I try to do that when I'm thinking about it. But it's hard to remember that sometimes. To just when you pray, just thank Him. I do thank Him a lot for little silly stuff, like maybe I make a good soup at work or something. I thank Him for that because I know that I couldn't do it without Him, or just stuff that other people may think silly, but like without Him, then I've got nothing, and I can't really. Every gift that I was given by Him. And I wish that He gave me a different gift than being an excellent chef. Yeah, I wish that there had been a different gift given to me. But that's just my talent. I'm not going to say gift, it's talent. And I did have to work very hard on that talent, so it's not like, I talked about, I think it was last week, where I don't really do as much in this as I should. I'm ashamed, but I do understand this very well. And I had never been to school or nothing like that, but I do understand this very well, and God speaks to me through this living Word. And I'm sure that He can speak to you if you read and just pray. I pray right before I read this Bible every time that His Word, that He speaks to me through this, and that whatever comes out of my mouth is from Him. And I'm thankful that He's allowed me to do this, because if you'd known me 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, you would never believe even this is possible. And then I got another friend that I talked to on the phone. Hadn't heard from him in probably 20 years, somewhere around that neighborhood. Man, me and him used to really burn it down, and but both of us was spiritually connected with God, even though we was doing bad. And I'm glad to see he's doing good. I believe he's been sober for around the same amount of time I have, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit less. But it's around the same amount of time me and him has both been sober. And if anybody, me or him, they'd have been like, there's no way these guys are ever going to get fixed. But I'm very proud of him. If he's watching, maybe he knows who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention his name because it's not my place to bring other people's dirt into this. So we'll go to verse 6 now. I went down to the morning of the mountains. The earth with it bears closed behind me forever. Yet you have brought up my life from the pit, O Lord God. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer went up to you into the holy temple. Those who regard worthless idols forsake my own mercy. But I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pray what I have vowed. Salvation is the Lord's. So the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. So now Jonah has been released from the belly of the fish, and he went into prayer with God, and he went in, let's see, he went in thanking him, and telling his, being thankful and telling what he had done wrong, but he knows that God always answers prayer, and sometimes God answers our prayer in ways we don't know. I mean, sometimes we'll pray for something and we expect it to be one way, and it turns out to be something totally different. I don't really know how many times that I've been praying for a certain situation to happen or something like that, and it ends up being something totally different, but it ends up being, an answered prayer in some kind of way. It's just, sometimes stuff gets answered differently. So that's the first two chapters of Jonah. I would have liked to really have the whole thing done. This is a very short book. I tried to keep these lessons down to like 20 minutes, so I can keep y'all's attention. So we're gonna go next week we're gonna go into chapter 3 and 4. But the lesson today is listen to God and be thankful. Be thankful for all things that God has given to you. The hot water, if you have hot water. If you don't have hot water, then you got some water. If you ain't got no water, then I don't know. You have to figure something out. But there's people that doesn't have water. Is what I'm trying to get to. Is like, and there's people that haven't got food. There's people struggling with that. So like, if you was able to eat a good meal today, or even eat anything at all day, and have water and clean clothes and a roof over your head, just be thankful for that, because there's some people that hasn't got any of that. They're living on the streets under a bridge now. A lot of that stuff is self-inflicted. Just try to stay out of trouble, guys. That's pretty much it. I'm rambling at this point, and until next week. Y'all be good. If you like what you seen, like, share, and subscribe. Y'all have a blessed day. I love each and every one of y'all.